Hi everyone, my name is King IV, and this is an idea workshop by Grant Thornton. And this case is Cane Steel Inc. And essentially the case is asking you to look at inventory and accounts payable because there's specific risks to it. So let's go ahead and get started. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import the Excel files. Some people like to modify the Excel files beforehand, but in this case I'm not going to. I'm going to show you how to modify it in idea. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it like that, and we're dealing with 2011. And then we're not going to import first row as field names just because obviously the field names are on the fourth row. So we're going to go ahead and press OK. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use a direct extract, and I'm going to call this 2011 ending inventory modified. And I'm basically going to say, as long as column 2 contains the word type, column 2 contains the word type, I want to keep it. And as well, I don't need all these columns, so I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna remove 987. Perfect. And now I'm gonna just modify some of these quickly. So again, you could I think this is price or cost, unit value. Actually, no, this is quantity. Cost value. Yeah, that makes sense. 2 decimal places. I'm gonna put this at 2. Actually, let's put this cost at 4. And then this is called, well, this doesn't really matter. Type inventory number. Actually, let's take a look at what's called in the Excel sheet. It's called item number. And the third column is called unit. There you go. So now, okay, let's take a look, make sure we have a complete set of data. And you'll see here, it'll be 5,014,000. So if we take a look at this data set, I believe there's a total here. And then you can see that it ties out. Well, it ties it to the total that they're looking for. The first thing we want to do here is test the price extension. So the price extension is essentially comparing this price extension with the recalculated, which is unit times cost. So we're going to go ahead and create a new column. We're going to call it, let's call it price extension test. Put 2 decimal places. And then we'll do quantity times cost. And then we're going to do another calculation called variance. And then we're going to do value minus price extension. And then you can see that there are some minor differences. You would probably want to export everything greater than $1. Some of these are like really minor differences. But you can see that there's some of them are quite large differences. And you can see here, some of them look like they're like 10-fold differences. So that's something to note, and good to note. So that's, and if we take the field statistics total, that should, in theory, be the 1177, etc., which matches to here. Pretty much it's like $1 off, but not the big deal. Next thing to know is determine if pricing is consistent in comparison to prior year. So we're gonna have to import the prior year inventory file. So again, we're gonna do something pretty similar. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna leave that, and then I'm going to do a direct extract. Very similar. I'm gonna go 2010 ending inventory listing modified, or I'll just call it ending inventory modified. And then I'm gonna look at is any type in column 2. Perfect. And then I'm gonna do the same modifications here. Numeric. I'm gonna put this at 2, 4, 2. I think this is quantity. This is cost. This is value. This is unit. This is type. And this is item number. Make sure it looks the same. Yeah, perfect. More or less. Okay. And now what we're going to do here is I'm going to take the 2011 listing, and now I'm going to join it with the, we'll use this one. I'm going to join it with the 2010 listing, the modified version. And I'm going to join it based off of item number. And let's call this 2011 ending inventory with 2010 amounts. And then all I want here is I want to know whether or not the price has changed, whether the pricing is consistent. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the cost over. In this case, I'm going to do all records in the primary because there's maybe some inventory units are in 2011 that might not be in 2010. And then as well, because I'm auditing 2011, I don't really care, at least for this particular test, whether or not there's any 2010 items. Right? And I'm going to rename this. I'm going to call this underscore 2011. I'm going to underscore this called 2010. And then I'm going to create a new field. I'm going to call this price change. I'll put to 4 decimal places. And then I'm going to go cost 2011 minus cost 2010. And you'll see here, you might want to see whether or not there's like a dollar change, more than $1 amount of change, which would be these two items, absolute value, or a percentage change. I'll leave it up to you guys how you want to handle that. But then here you go. The next thing you want to do is determine whether inventory is stated at the lower of costs or should be net realizable value. And then in this case, realizable value would be the price. So here we have these inventory sales from January. Oh no, sorry. We have these prices here in this text document. So I'm going to go ahead and import that one. In this case, it's delimited. In this case, it's by space. And then there's no field names. So here I'm just going to call this type, leave it as character. I'm going to call this item no. I'm going to turn it to character. And I'm going to put the pricing at 4. And let's call this price. And then perfect. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this file and I'm going to append the prices to it. So I'm going to take the 2011 pricing. In this case, all I want here is the price. I'm going to do all records in the primary. I'm going to match based off of item number. And I'm going to call this 2011 ending inventory with prices. And now what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to create a new field. I'm going to go price less than cost, which means that it's right now it's sitting in inventory higher than what's being sold at. So here, some people don't like doing if statement. Some people just like doing booleans, but I like doing if statements. Actually, I need to make sure that's a virtual character. I'm going to put it at 5. And then what I'm going to do here, yeah, actually, let's do this first. Let's do variance, price, cost difference. It's probably a little bit more descriptive. Let's put a virtual numeric. And let's go cost. Let's go price less cost. So if it's negative, that means it's being priced at higher. So you'll see here the inventory is being held at $46, but really the price is $40, so it should be really priced at that. And then we're going to create a new field, and we'll go price less than cost, and then we'll treat that as virtual character. And then we'll go at if price cost difference is less than 0, and then go yes, otherwise no. And then you can see here that these two particular items. Okay, pretty simple. 2 items identified in this test. This next one is identify unusual, slow moving, or discontinued or obsolete items. And what we're going to do here is we're going to compare it to the January and February 2012 listing, which would be the following year. So let's go ahead and import that file. I got to see what kind of file it is. In this case, it's a CSV file, I believe. Oh no, it's an Excel file. In this case, first row is field names. Perfect. And essentially what we're going to do here is we're going to do a join with this unit. Actually, no, yeah, with this unit. I don't know why it's called unit here. With this unit column. And we're going to do an unmatched join. So here I'm going to basically say do a join, select inventory listing. I'm going to compare these two. Okay, you can see here they're different types. So I'm going to change this to character. And then I'm going to go here. I'm going to do a join with this inventory sales. And I'm going to do the join between these two. And I'll say inventory not sold in Jan and Feb. And then here I'm basically going to go records with no secondary match. So there will be 2011 ending inventory that wasn't sold in January and February. And there you go. And then you can see these are the ones that haven't been sold at all with for January and February compared to 2011. Okay. Next thing we want to do here is we're going to do review of AP balance by supplier. So we're going to need to import this PDF file. This one gets a little bit tricky, so you have to bear with me as we get through this. So here there's this 2011 AP listing. It's a PDF file. So what we need to do here is we need to put down our layers and then define our traps to determine what the pattern of the layers are. So here I'm going to highlight here, and then so you can see here I've just highlighted this first layer, and I'm going to create a standard layer. And then what you're going to have to do here is determine how can I determine all these particular lines, which are these transaction lines, the ones with the dates. How can I identify them all? And probably the best way is you have these 4 different types of traps, which help you determine patterns: text, numeric, space, or non-blank. In this case, I'm just going to go numeric here, and it's going to highlight all of them. And the next thing I want to do now is I want to identify all these different field names. So I'm just going to highlight across. I'm going to call this source. In this case, it's not a numeric, it's a character. Next thing I want to do here is define the date. Date. And then it's going to ask me for the mask, which in this case is month, day, year. And then after that, I need to identify, I'm going to go up to here, and this is going to be transaction type. And this last amount is going to be the amount. So here it's going to be numeric. So I'm going to go total, numeric, okay, good. And then once you're done and satisfied with that particular layer, we're going to save it. And then I'm just going to quickly preview the database. So it looks good. You can obviously copy this column as well and copy it to Excel to double check whether or not it ties out. And next thing we want to do here is we want to deal with the supplier layer. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight this one, create a new standard layer. And then I'm going to trap. How can I identify all these different suppliers? So in this case, I'm just going to put non-blank trap here. And then you'll see that it highlights some additional information as well, like total outstanding and whatnot, but it actually doesn't matter. And I'll tell you in a little bit once we highlight this one here. So I'm going to call this supplier. And then here, what we're going to do here is we're going to go use value from previous row. And then basically what it's going to do here is it's going to look at these transaction detailed ones. It's going to look here, and then it's going to say when it's blank, use the previous value. In this case, it's this Ontario Limited. So because these transactions don't start until here, these ones don't really matter. And you can as well, once I save this layer, you can see on the preview database that it didn't put any of the additional information. Perfect. And then once we're doing that, we can save this template. That means you can use the template later if you want to. And now we're going to import into IDEA. And then we're going to generate some field statistics. And we're going to check this out. So in this case, it's 13,769,000. So if I open up this and I go to the very bottom, you'll see here it matches to the total. Okay, good. So now it's processing these pages. Okay, so the next thing you want to do here is you want to extract outstanding balances for suppliers greater than $1 million. So you can see here for any particular supplier, there's payments, there's invoices, etc. And you'll see here they're properly denoted. In this case, we're going to go by supplier. We're going to go total. And then I'm going to call this supplier summary. And basically what I want to do here is identify all these $1 million ones. So you can do a direct extract. We're going to call this suppliers with balances greater than 1 million. And all we're going to do here is we're going to do this total sum greater than 1 million. See here, million. Perfect. There you go. Now we have these 5 suppliers. Okay. Let's see what else we need to do. We need to search for duplicate checks and as well missing checks. So what we're going to do here is I'm gonna go back to this file, and I want just to export all the payments. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna put this criteria on just by right clicking. I'm gonna call this 2011 payments. Perfect. So you can see here's all the different payments and all the different types. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to exclude all the cash ones. So I'm gonna go 2011 non-cash payments, just because it's gonna throw off our duplicate check. And I'm gonna go where source, I think it's source. Double check actually. Yep, source does not equal cash. There you go. And now we're gonna run this. Let's do the duplicate check first. So duplicate detection, and then we're going to do it based off of source, and then we'll call this duplicate checks. We're going to do gap detection, so we're going to go back to this file, but we need to be able to sort this file numerically first. So what I'm going to do here is you could change this into numeric, but personally I don't really like doing that, and I'm going to call it source modified just for other reasons. And then you'll see here that these check numbers, the source field, if you look, just scroll down, for the most part they're maximum 3. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to create a new field. I'm going to call this source modified. I'm going to go virtual character. I'm going to just put it at 4. Essentially what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go use this function called left. Sorry, I'm going to use the function right, and I'm going to add a bunch of leading zeros to the source file, and I'm going to go give me the last 4. So in this case, it's going to add 3 zeros to this 1. It's going to add 2 zeros to this 10, etc., etc. So you'll be able to see that here. And now when I sort it, you're going to see here it's going to sort it properly. Perfect. And now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do gap detection on the source modified. You'll see the format here, and we need to make sure that we've indexed it properly. And I'm going to call this check gap detection. I'm going to create a database and a result. And then you'll see here that we're missing number 52, 61, and then you'll see here that we're missing 9 in total right there, across 8 different gaps. So that's essentially the case here. We learned a bunch of different techniques. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave it in the comment section below, and I look forward to speaking to you next time. Thank you.